Hello, welcome to the practice problems for test number 6. This should be in your practice packet on page 8H, and we'll work through the problems. I'll do the odd ones through page 12. So we're starting on page 8H. It should look something like this: practice content related to past assessments. Right now we're working on solving each by factoring. If you recall, we're looking for that number that multiplies to 15 and adds to -8, which it turns out is factors of 15 are 1 and 15. They're both going to have to be negative because it ends up being negative. Oh, that doesn't work. Let's try -3, -5. Yep. So we're going to go n minus 3 times n minus 5 equals 0. You may recall then what we do is we take each of these factors and set them equal to 0 and solve. So we have n minus 3 equals 0, n minus 5 equals 0. Just need to add that number to the other side, and n equals 3 plus 5 plus 5. N equals 5. Those are our two answers for that problem. If you're looking ahead to number 2, that one is we're looking for what multiplies to 20, adds to -9. So they're both going to be negative, so it's going to be -4 and -5. But I'm going to jump ahead to number 3 now. Pause if you need more time, otherwise we will move on. Okay, number 3 just has a problem where we have a number over to the side. It turns out on this one, we're just going to move that 5 back with the problem and see what happens. So let's do that. Let's add 5 to both sides. Notice we're doing it on opposite sides of that equal sign. So then we're left with m squared plus 8m plus 15 equals 0 now. And this is exactly like number 1. Now we're looking for that number that multiplies to 15 and adds to 8. So there's 1 times 15, 3 times 5, and that's our combo right there. So let's just break that into two factors of m plus 3 and m plus 5 equals 0, and then set each of those equal to 0 and solve, and you should end up with m equals -3, m equals -5. All right, hit pause if you're not finished, or we're moving on to number 5. Okay, with number 5, we just have a squared minus 6a equals 0. Essentially, we just need to break this into a couple of parts and then solve. This is more straightforward than it seems. We're looking for the GCF here, which is just a. So I'm going to take that out. And what I'm left with is a minus 6. All that's equal to 0. And then we're just going to take each of these and set them equal to 0. First one's pretty easy. A equals 0. And then a minus 6 equals 0. If we move that 6 over, we have a equals 6. And that's our two answers. There's one and the other. That's it for this one. Pause if you need more time. Otherwise, we're moving on to number 7. So number 7 is a little bit different because it has this leading coefficient out in front, this 6. The bottom line, though, we're just going to multiply the 6 times the -7, and that gives us our number that needs to be factored to multiply times it and add to this b value of -41. So 6 times -7 is -42. So what multiplies to negative 42 and adds to negative 41, and it turns out that's just negative 42 times 1, and negative 42 plus 1. So if we get rid of that, so we're not in the way, our numbers are negative 42 and 1. Now we're going to rewrite this 3-term equation with 4 terms. I'm going to split that middle into negative 42. I don't like that. Into negative 42b plus 1b. And then we're going to bring these other numbers and this variable down. 6b squared and negative 7. So now we have 4 terms. And we'll take and group into 2 groups and then take out GCFs. So now greatest common factor from 6b squared minus 42b is simply 6b. And what we're left with is b minus 7. And the only thing we can take out of this b minus 7 is just 1. And we're left with b minus 7. Now we're going to recombine. Those two come together to be 6b plus 1. And then we still have b minus 7 as our other factor. We really have it twice, but we don't need to solve it twice. So, and those are all equal to 0. And we just set each individual piece equal to 0 and solve. So we have b plus 1 equals 0 and b minus 7 equals 0. B equals negative 1. Wait, that's not right. Back up. Sorry. I didn't write the whole thing. It was 6b plus 1 equals 0. We subtract that 1 from both sides. And we're left with, I better go to a different color here so we don't confuse. 6b equals negative 1. And we divide both sides by 6. And we end up with b equals negative 1 over 6. Other side is a little easier. Add 7 to both sides. And we end up with b equals 7. Those are our 2 answers. All right, that's it for number 7. And that's it for the first page. So that's it for page 8H. You can move on to the next video if you want to move on to another page.